a document that was the result of what they referred to as a discussion group that included Doug Feith and David Wormser. And in 1996, when Benjamin Netanyahu came to power in Israel, this document was published as a means by which Benjamin Netanyahu and his new government could secure the physical and economic security of Israel. And it was referred to as securing the realm. That was in 1996.
Which is the clean break document.
Clean break, a strategy for securing the realm. And that was followed up by an open letter to President Clinton in 1998, signed by Paul Wolfowitz, Doug Feith, David Wormser, Bill Kristol, as well as Donald Rumsfeld and others, that said that President Clinton should take part in removing Saddam Hussein from power. And once again, this is a leader very clearly spoken of in a clean break strategy for securing the realm, as well as an open letter to the president in 1998, signed by over 30 public policy figures. David Wormser wrote a book regarding the mistake that took place, in his opinion, in Operation Desert Storm, when they did not remove Saddam Hussein from power. So these folks had a very well-documented, very public desire to remove a person from power, namely Saddam Hussein. And when George Bush came to power in January of 2001, with his personal animus toward Saddam Hussein, he was able to find individuals that would deal with the intelligence and the intelligence analysis in the Pentagon that had a very like-minded opinion on the future of Saddam Hussein, on what should be the future of Saddam Hussein. And so those two reasons that John Jay mentioned over 200 years ago played out in March of 2003 when the United States invaded Iraq. These very old motivations of revenge for personal affront on the part of the commander-in-chief, and then the supporting of ideals of partisans on the part of the so-called neocons in the Pentagon.
Now,
and so,
Congressman, just if I might, the names you have named and the people you have talked about, and you said like-minded people who became in these sensitive positions, and you named the clean break document, and also let me add to that the defense guidance plan that Wolfowitz and Pearl had written back in 1992, and add to that the Project for New American Century. And these same names have been popping up every time we talk about all these three documents, and then the same names are popping up again when we talk about the first Bush administration. Now, there is a common link between all these peoples. If we're saying Paul Wolfowitz, Douglas Feith, Wormser, Scooter Libby, who became the very much the chief of staff for the vice president, Joshua Bolten, who was the chief staff for the Bush administration, Richard Pearl, who was at the State Department. Actually, Wolfowitz was the State Department, and Richard Pearl was on the board of National Security. All these people, there's a common link between them and also between all these three documents. Didn't this ring a bell somewhere in Washington that why these people who like-minded, and they all happen to be Jewish, not to have anything against Jewish, didn't anyone think, okay, the clean break document in 96 was written as a guide for Netanyahu to break the clean break and to remove Saddam, as that document actually stated, that removing Saddam Hussein from power is an Israeli is an Israeli objective in its own right. And then we find these people in the Bush administration. This whole thing didn't ring a bell with somebody?
Well, it didn't. And the reason I can say that, Dr. Tillawi, is it did not ring a bell with me before, because we were, once again, you've got to take yourself back to that time as a member of Congress. What you are being shown are aluminum tubes. You're being told about reports by the IAEA and the weapons inspectors about stockpiles that have not been destroyed. The focus was the program of weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein had, and that was the total focus of everyone involved. It was not a link between 9/11 and Saddam Hussein. I talk about that quite in depth in my book and go through the reason why that was not the primary motivation for what Congress was dealing with at that time, and the president was talking about, even though in his public speeches he would talk about the two things. We were focused on weapons of mass destruction, and I can only tell you that at that time, what I was confronted with was not a mushroom cloud in my mind, but a cloud of confusion, because I can tell you that the intelligence was just not there. Now, there was intelligence that said, these people have told us this, and these people have told us this. But you have to go beyond that, and I went beyond that to ask, what are our people, what are our assets informing us of? And finally, where are they? If we are going to go to war and we are going to commit America's sons and daughters to combat, and we are going to literally be sacrificing life and limb, we have got to know where the justification for that commitment is physically located. We cannot say, well, we think they're there. We've got to know they're there.
Sir, it's really...
And we did not.
It's really scary when what you're saying. It's really scaring me to death to know that our congressmen did not have... They were showing aluminum tubes, so they were lied to, and based on that, supposedly we went to war. That is treason. Who is to protect the American citizens if members of Congress are acting on misinformation? This is treason of the highest degree.
Well, it is. I can tell you this, that I believe that Congress could have asked collectively much tougher questions.
Why they did not? Why they did not? Who was holding a gun to their head and saying you couldn't do this?
Well, quite honestly, 64% of their voters, and I'm taking this from personal experience. I can tell you that after I voted against the leader of my party, the President of the United States, and voted against a plan to go to war with a country that many believed was developing a nuclear weapon to strike the United States, that my constituents were very upset. And most members of Congress do not want to go home to very upset members of the voting bloc. And so,
which is a selfish reason, by the way.
It very much is. And let me just remind you of how this all evolved. When Hillary Clinton voted for the war, she gave a very eloquent speech on the floor of the Senate. Now, I can tell you personally that there was no reason for her to give that speech, because she saw the same intelligence that I saw, and that intelligence was, as I said on the floor of the House of Representatives, tenuous at best.
Okay.
But in early 2007, when she was campaigning for president in New Hampshire, she was able to get by with, if I knew then what I know now, I would have voted against the war.